This is the Geoffrey and Richie Show. All sports, all talk.
Hello there, and welcome to the Geoffrey and Richie Sports Show. I'm Richie Benno. Thanks for tuning in and downloading. I'd like to introduce my colleague, Geoffrey Boycott. Good morning, Geoffrey.
Good morning, Richie. Good morning, everybody.
How are you?
Good. I'm off work. Well, one of my jobs anyway, obviously. My full-time job is commentating and broadcasting.
Yeah, but you had an early day today.
Woohoo! I did, thanks to you. I had a bit of a wake-up call via the text.
Yes. Well, I wouldn't want you to be sleeping.
No. I mean, it was kind of appreciated. Admittedly, an expletive did come out of my mouth once I saw who the text was from. It didn't actually. Don't get angry.
I think deep down it did. That's fair enough. But I was doing you a favour in the long run.
Yeah.
In the cold light of day.
No, I'm pleased that you did. And I mean, did you want to divulge what the text was about? It wasn't anything. It wasn't your usual late night text.
No, I can't remember which one now. Are you talking about the we're in this, we're going to win? Oh, the double fifer. That's what I wanted, wasn't it?
No, that was the second text. The first text was something along the lines of, I hope you're awake. You need to be watching this.
Right.
Blah, blah,
okay. Oh, thus giving you no choice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That woke me up, and indeed I did tune in.
Excellent.
Shall we tell them what we're talking about, just in case nobody realises?
Yeah, over a minute in, everyone's like, what? Don't want to hear about this weird morning texting. Of course, England's victory. And what a victory. I mean, can you genuinely remember a better overall performance than this test match?
Away from home, no.
To be honest, I think home included, I really can't. To actually perform at that level against arguably, if not one of the two, definitely one of the two or three top teams in the world.
Well, they're ranked 2 at the moment, aren't they? So
yeah. But it's, the top three are a bit of a much for muchness, really. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. I just it was like watching a different team. And we normally sit here with a nice long list of who to criticise and things to talk about on a negative sense, and there's very few.
How bizarre is it though? And I was speaking to one of our close cricket correspondents, Mr. Hanlon, about this, and he mentioned the fact that last week we criticised both Cook and Bell. Yeah. Lo and behold, we've done the business with them.
The way they go,
it spurred them on.
It really did. It clearly did. This is where all the downloads are coming from. I noticed they're all coming from the South Africa and the surrounding areas. I was so pleased for Cook. I really, really was.
It was a gritty innings, wasn't it?
It really was. I mean, at first, certainly for the first 7 or 8 hours of it, it was a bit painful and wasn't very fluent. But he really stuck in there and really stuck at it. And all credit to him. Yes, we have been highly critical of him, but he's obviously putting the time in, and we spoke about before work he's done with Gooch and the work he's done on his own game, and yeah, absolutely fantastic. I think that it just gives us a different option, and it gives other, obviously in this case South Africa, but the opponents, whoever they may be, they're not just going to be worried about Strauss. If Cook can get to that somewhere near Strauss level of like, look, he's a prize wicket, he is a prize wicket, then to open with 2 of them would be fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And it's so great to see our top 6 performing like a top 6. 1 century is great. 2, I mean, let's be honest, 2 is a bonus. You would hope to have 1 if you're top 6, 9 times out of 10. But to get 2 against a team like that in their backyard, I just think was awesome. And again, it's so nice not to have to rely on the likes of Broad, Swan, Pryor to kind of post a decent total. It was all done by the batsman. Great,
it really was.
I love it, absolutely love it.
Again, KP didn't quite do the business, did he? He had a very quiet test match, I suppose, but we only batted once, so he didn't get the opportunity to sort of redeem himself or shine completely. But nonetheless, obviously, as we said, Cook, Bell, Collingwood with 91, Pryor with a useful 60. And did Strauss he got 50 as well, didn't he? 50 odd?
He did. He was quick off the mark about run a ball, and that was when Cook was really plodding along at not quite a run a ball at that time.
No, I mean it was an awesome performance. I mean, to restrict South Africa in the first innings to 343,
and that was higher than really it should have been. Let's be honest about it. Where we had them, the way Steyn was teeing off and Harris was teeing off at the end, it was a bit. It was disappointing for them to get as many as they got, frankly. But it just seemed like one of those wickets, I kind of alluded to it last week, that nobody really knew what a good score was. It was looking so flat certainly after a day or a day and a half, and felt that 340 was a bit light. But
who would have predicted though, after we scored 574, who would have predicted the collapse that South Africa had?
It's just the mental side of the game, isn't it? Because there weren't suddenly demons in the pitch. Yeah, the ball was swinging about a bit and Swan got it to move a bit, but it really was it's the mentality of coming in knowing that they've got to bat out for 5 sessions or 4.5 sessions, whatever it was.
I guess so.
And it's just a completely different mindset. Beefy made the point in the studio that when you go out with a target to reach that you think is reachable in terms of a figure, then that is a whole different mindset to going out knowing that we cannot win this game. We've got to bat for as long as we can. There's nothing they could do about it. I think a lot of teams would have capitulated in those situations. I'm sure we would have done, frankly, had it been had it been the other way around.
But awesome from Swan again. What a series what a year he's had.
Mate, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Every week I bang on about how much I love him, and if it's possible, I love him even more than I did 7 days ago.
He's a lucky guy.
He really, really is. Awesome. 54 wickets, I think, in the calendar year, most by an England spinner ever. Second only to Johnson in 2009. I mean, that's incredible. And only came back into the team last December. It's amazing to think. And also, it gives us such a different option. And indeed, any team that's got that, I hesitate to say world class, but let's be honest, now he is of that level. He's ranked number 3 in the world now, I think.
Is he?
Yeah, he's as high as that. But yeah, to have that world class spinner and somebody like Swan who can give you runs as well, it just gives us so many different options. If you want to go in with a shorter batting lineup, you can still go with the 4 seamers plus Swan, knowing that he is a viable wicket taking option. And it's no disrespect to say in 05 when we had Giles. Giles performed very well, but he wasn't that fearsome spinner that Swan has turned out to be, which I think is a bit of a surprise, no disrespect, to a lot of people, probably including himself. Well, hopefully not including himself, but it's just awesome. And as I say, with having him in this side, and we decide to go with 3 seamers, we can then have the long batting lineup, which there's going to be debates on the next game, I'm sure, as to how we go. We must go unchanged.
Oh, absolutely. I've got no doubt about that.
But if we change the makeup of the side, having Swan on form in there, being able to get a few runs in the right situation, it just gives us whole new dimensions we haven't had probably in our lifetimes, let's be honest.
No. It's just on the flip side though, Richie. If you
don't bring me down.
If you're in the South African shoes, what changes would you make, if any? Surely you've got to make some.
I'd probably only make one, and that would be the one we talked about last week, Ntini for Devet. I really, they're not suddenly a bad batting lineup. They were 1 ball away from beating us in the first test. Let's be honest. They made a couple of dodgy decisions. They're not suddenly bad players. I think that
Steyn seems to have struggled to step up to the plate, doesn't he? I don't know whether he's still carrying a bit of a knock or...
Yeah, exactly. And Callis as well. I know he hasn't, he's still getting over his rib injury. Even though he got a century in the first game, I don't think he's quite at the top of his game yet. The thing is with Ntini, it's not just about cricket, is it? About whether to pick him. It's this whole political issue. Yeah. He's the only black player in the team and everything else. And, we've talked about it before. I won't go down, I'm going to go over the stuff we've talked about before. We never do that.
No. Usually because we've forgotten.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no consistency. But yeah, I would only pick him. I mean, Devet's incredibly unlucky not to play in this second test. I don't see what more he could have done in the first. But I would be surprised. There's going to be a media backlash, I'm sure, in South Africa against their own team. But I think it would be surprising if they pick more than they change more than one.
Geoffrey and Richie.
If you'd like to download the full version of the Geoffrey and Richie Sports Show, including more cricket talk, a full football roundup, our sporting highlights of 2009, and of course the winners and losers of the past 7 days of sport, go to iTunes. You could download the full version there. Do also check out our blog. The web address is geoffreyandrichie.libsyn.com. You can email us at geoffreyandrichie@hotmail.co.uk. We are also on Facebook and Twitter too. The username is GNR_podcast.
This is the Geoffrey and Richie Show. All sports, all talk.